Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Do me a favor, make sure that you hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Make sure that you hit that rate, subscribe, and share button so we can keep this message going, get the message out. We're trying to help men become the best versions of themselves going forward, looking forward, and all that. So as we look at men moving forward, going forward, becoming the best versions of ourselves, whether you're a middle-aged man or younger man, I think that this message is going to resonate with you loudly and clearly. So what are we looking at today? Today we're looking at a story that was sent to me talking about studies say that men are at their loneliest as healthier relationship standards arise. So this article that is in the Shade Room is also on another platform, Psychology Today, and that's the one I'm going to read from. This is from Psychology Today, Dr. Greg Matos, psychologist, The Rise of Lonely Single Men. And so what this is talking about here is, you can see the 3 bullet points here, is the 3 bullet points talking about dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as healthy relationship standards change. Men represent approximately 62% of dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. Men need to address skills deficits to meet healthier relationship expectations. So this is for the men who are out there talking about that they want to be the best versions of themselves. And if we remember the late great Kevin Samuels, he would always say to ladies, you're the type of woman who's going to die alone. You're going to be cats, because cat moms, cat dads, buy a dog and all that. So here we're getting actually a different perspective on his points. And that point is that many men are dying alone. Many men are entering their last years of their lives lonely and being lonely, right? It's one thing if you just want to continue to be a playboy and whatever, you just want to kind of hit it and quit it, or whatever the raunchy sayings are about what's going on. If you just want something that's less than cordial, less than a relationship, let's just keep it there. If you want something like that, then this is probably what you're okay with. But the problem is that this article is addressing the loneliness of men, right? So as we go through it, it talks about younger middle-aged men are the loneliest that they've ever been in generations, and it's probably going to get worse. This is not the typical rosy view of relationships, but reality nonetheless. Over the last 30 years, men have become a larger portion of that growing group of long-term single people, and while they actually don't need to be in a relationship to be happy, men are typically happier and healthier when partnered. Men are typically happier and healthier when they are partnered. So let's look at dating apps, right? Whether you're just starting out dating or recently divorced and dating again, dating apps are a huge new driver of romantic connections in the United States and in other places, right? This is not just a U.S. issue. I've read some information going on in Australia and England as well. The only problem is upwards of 62% of users are men, and many women are overwhelmed with how many options they have. Competition in online dating is fierce, and lucky in-person chance encounters with dreaming partners are rarer than ever. Relationship standards, right? So with so many options, it is not surprising that women are increasingly selective. I do a live, this guy does a live TikTok show. He hears a recurring dating theme from women between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, good communicators, and share similar values. So I had a recent conversation with a young lady, and we were talking about the emotional availability that men seem to be lacking. And it is my contention that men are lacking these emotional availability because we haven't been bred to do that, right? From the time we were young boys, we were taught not to cry. Crying is for wimps, for simps, for wussies, and every other type of negative term. Don't cry, don't show your emotions. And even sometimes in the manosphere, that's still being said and taught. And so, but here's another item that she and I really discussed, and she was in agreement with this, is that many times when men show a vulnerable side of themselves, when they show a vulnerable side of themselves, it is at this time that they show the greatest risk for being taken advantage of. What do I mean by that? So if you're in an argument with your girlfriend, significant other, and in the past you've shown some type of emotional vulnerability, if she takes that time to bring it up to hurt you, oh, that's why your mama did this, or that's why you were touched at this is why this happened, you're a little boy, I saw you cry, whatever, that is going to cause a man to shut down and to never be emotionally available to any other young woman in his life. And so this is something that we have to get out of young ladies who would have the opportunity to do this. Think of the old Alicia Keys songs. Your secrets are safe with me. You don't want me to try to sing it, but your secrets are safe with me. What does that mean? She's saying that whatever information you have shared with me, it's never, you're never going to hear from it again. And sadly, this is a situation that has happened to many men. Here's another situation in which men don't want to share. I've had numerous ladies, more than 3, 4, 5 ladies tell me that the moment that they see their man cry, that they are emotionally checked out from that relationship, essentially. They lose all respect for him. They told me if they see their man cry, then they think that he can't handle whatever pressures are coming from, whatever pressures he's dealing with. If he starts to panic, then I'm start to panic. I need someone who's safe, who's strong, who's going to make me feel safe and strong and secure. And if my man is not emotionally stable in these crisis situations, then I'm not going to be emotionally available, and I'm going to not be emotionally available in these situations. So men are getting this different types of information from different sides. Yes, okay, women are saying they want a man who's emotionally available and good communicators, and then the moment they do it, then they can be seen as weak and all that. So it's a chance that men just can't take, or should they take? Let me ask the question: is it a chance that a man should take, exposing himself to the vulnerabilities? I do think that men have to do a better job at selecting who they're going to be emotionally available with, and vulnerable with. So if you're going to be the best version of yourself, you're going to get in your game, get in your grind, get your finances together, get your mental health together, and all these types of things, so you can meet these types of standards. And you have to do a better job at selecting a partner who's going to be able to show you a different side, right? So that would mean maybe testing her, right? It is said that ladies like to test the men to test their gangster, if you will. Make sure that you're a man enough to stand up to her, that you're willing to stand up to anyone else who would come up against your relationship or you as a couple. Make sure that you can protect her and provide for her. So if that's the case, then maybe you ought to test to make sure that she's emotionally available, and that your secrets are really safe with her. What would that mean? What would that look like? Well, that would mean that you give her little bits of information to make sure that she can hold the secret and that you'll never hear it again. Just some other tidbits that are out there. So going on with the article, it talks about addressing skill deficits. For men, this means a relationship skills gap that, if not addressed, will likely lead to fewer dating opportunities, less patience for poor communication skills, and longer periods of being single. The problem for men is emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long-term love. Emotional connection requires all the skills that families are still not consistently teaching their young boys. So this is a problem. This is a problem that men are getting. We're not getting the training in what it takes to be these emotionally available young men, and so this is what's going on. So these are the skill set deficits that they think, and I certainly think that being a good communicator is essential, and emotionally available. Listen, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. I had in the conversation, I can't really remember exactly what the young lady was saying, but I know that I agree with a lot of it. And just being able to say, when you come home from work, here's a good example that I think that we would agree with. You come home from work, you've had a rough day, and because of your body language, your significant other is able to understand that you had a rough day. And if she says, hey baby, you know, I see you had a rough day. What's going on? It's not okay just to say nothing, go grab a beer, sit on the couch, or pull out your Madden game, and just ignore her for the rest of the night because you've had a rough day. Maybe it's essential to say, hey, listen, I've had a rough day. Just give me a few, give me an hour or two, just kind of unwind, and I'll tell you about it, or something along those lines, right? They want the communication skills, and they want the emotional vulnerability to be able to talk and communicate with their mate. Again, this is for the men who are out there who are willing to do this type of work and who want relationships and who don't want to be lonely. If you want someone and they're raising the so-called, as this article put it, they're rating the relationship landscape, and if their expectations for relationships are changing, then maybe you would change with them. So address these skills gaps. So I think that that's essentially it that I'm going to read from Psychology Today. And the Shade Room really had the same types of information out there. The Shade Room, let me just read this from the Shade Room. One study shared by an outlet from Pew Research in 2019 suggested that men 29 to 54 are the fastest growing group of long-term single people since 1990. Trends show it will only worsen for them in the future, while they represent approximately 62% of dating app users, right? So men are the ones who are dying alone, growing old alone, and things along those lines. And because it's a matter of them not being able to meet the emotional and communication skill sets that women are requiring. Here's another thing that I think is essential that neither one of these are addressing. And this is something that men really have to do. And I think that the Shade Room article does mention this, although I'm not going to look for it there. What it talks about, or what I think is going on also, is that women are bossing up, essentially, right? They're getting their own cars, their own bags, their own bank accounts, their own 401ks. They're making more money. They're getting their education, and they want either men that are on their level. Not only communication wise, but academically and all that. They want someone who's on their level and or greater than them. And they want someone who's on their level in order to meet all these things. And another thing that I think that is important is men have to figure out where they're supposed to be, right? Men have traditionally been the protectors and providers. Well, because of the modern day we live in, women aren't necessarily looking for the protector and provider. Sure, they want that. Sure, they want someone who's big, tall, muscular, and all that type of thing. But it's not essential that they have that. They're looking for more communication and for the communication skills and similar values, right? They don't have to just settle, so they can continue to play the field and just do whatever they feel is best for them. So I think that's interesting. Bishop Jakes, I'm going to play this again because I think it goes to the heart of the matter. Is Bishop tdjakes gave us a little sermonette talking about how women are becoming more, in his words, masculine. And that is something that men are just not willing to go for, right? So
this breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now, because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house. But until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away. Oh, y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning.
I think that as they move up the corporate ladder, we're losing our families, losing a sense of what it takes to be these things. So women are looking for more softer men, essentially, who are better communicators. And I'm not saying it's soft to be a communicator. I don't want to be mistaken as saying that. I'm not saying it's soft to be a good communicator. I think a good communication and being able to talk to your mate is essential and very masculine. I actually think that. And I think that they're looking for someone who's emotionally available. That is a struggle for men because we haven't been taught that. It's a place of vulnerability, right? And we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to have what we said to be held against us or used against us in a court of law or in a court of an argument when and if it comes up again. So these are skill sets that we're going to have, skill set problems that we're going to have. So Bishop Jakes once again gave this sermon, and so problematic was what he said. That is alleged, and we don't know if this is actually true or not, but there were some reports that the women in the following services refused to come back and want to teach him a lesson, or refused to come back because they didn't want to hear that type of thing anymore. Because they're not going to settle, they're not going to stop traveling, they're not going to stop getting their passports, they're not going to stop bossing up, they're not going to stop getting their education, they're not going to stop doing these things, right? The landscape is changing and changed, and they're going to continue to go forward with all that. So it's not going to change. And if it takes going to a different church in order to get a message that is going to scratch proverbially their itching ears, then they're going to do that. It's an unfortunate. Well, is it unfortunate? I don't know. Here's what I'm saying to the young men out there, to the young men, to the young men, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to talk about this in future videos. Is you got to get your game up. You got to step your game up. You got to step your game up financially. You got to step your game up emotionally, and that's going to include developing the ability to have conversation, to be able to talk to your spouse. It's going to mean getting your financial house in order. It's going to mean going back to school, educating yourself, reading. It's going to require a lot of these different types of things in order to be the best version of yourself. Women are stepping up their game, and as the study's showing, it's not going to stop. It's not going to change, right? Unless something crazy drastic happens, it's not going to stop or going to change. So you got to be the best version of yourself that you can be. So, and as the dating apps are showing, it's more men out there than women. So they got their pick of the litter. So if you're not up to game, up to par, and all that, they're just going to keep it. They're just going to keep it pushing. And also the point I really want to say is that they do not need you. Right? Before it was a need. That women were raised in the 1940s and 50s and 30s and all that to be a certain type of way. They were raised to be good wives. They're not raised to be that way anymore. They're raised to become lawyers, doctors, judges, and all this type of thing. They're raised to do that type of thing. And so they're not going to stop. So they don't need you. They don't need your resources because they have their own. So they want to know what you can bring to their table and how you can fulfill their life. Love it or hate it. Leave it or love it. Whatever it is what it is. So you got to make the best decisions for yourself and what you want to be and how you want to go forth. Or you can get your passport and travel just like they get their passports and travel, and everybody's just living alone. We just come together for coitus every once in a while. But if you're one of the lonely men out there, you want to change your status as being lonely, not alone, but lonely. If you want to change that status, then you gotta develop some different skills. But if you like where you're at and you like what you're doing, it's all good, then it's all good. It's up to you. I'm just trying to help men to become the best versions of themselves. So if you're a lonely man out there and you don't know what's going on, take a look at these articles, listen to what I'm saying, take a look at what the women are saying, and be able to meet them at their expectations. Otherwise, it is what it is. So Bishop Jakes is getting ignored. We're in for a long haul. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Much love and peace. Make sure you rate, subscribe, and share this episode, and I'll talk to you again.